Oh boy. Hey everybody, Soybean Farmer. Christmas Eve, December 24th, here on the little farm. Had one heck of a week here last week. I tried to get out last Wednesday. Thought it was dry enough I could go cut some beans. And promptly went and got combine stuck. And had a nice 2-day ordeal with that. Finally got the combine out of the mud and back over here. And I keep the combine in the truck under this shelter. You may have seen it in other videos, but right there and truck here. And went to move the truck to get the combine back under here, and noticed the charging meter acting really strange. And spent a couple of hours trying to figure this thing out. This truck's got what's called a one-wire alternator on it down there. I know there's people out there that know what that is. Voltage regulator is built into the alternator, and the exciter circuit is built into the alternator. So you bolt the alternator onto the block, you put a ground wire on it to make sure it is firmly grounded to the block of the motor, and then you take one wire off the alternator and come up here to your battery to charge the battery. Well, there was nothing coming out of it. So we went to tracing things and found this fuse block that I had put in here right over there melted. And I said, oh, fuse blown, block melted. I said, something bad wrong here. So I went and got another block out of the toolbox and put a fuse in it. And it's a 35 amp fuse, 35 amp alternator, and promptly blew the fuse. I said, okay, something wrong here. This battery goes back to 2010. It's one of these old batteries. And I kept on messing with stuff, and the battery was real weak, so I put it on battery charger and got voltage back up to about 12.8, and things kind of stabilized. But then I started seeing weird spikes coming out of this alternator, and I could see it with the dash lights inside the truck. So I left it alone for a while, and now I'm back out here messing with it. I'm thinking this battery is shot. There's open cell or shorted cell in the battery, and it's intermittent, and it's causing the battery, instead of the battery to look like a continuous constant load to the alternator, it's changing its load on the alternator, causing the alternator to put out. Well, I got the battery swapped out, and it's doing the same thing. But I got around here and was actually listening to that alternator down there, and it's got sounds like a bearing or something going on in it. I'm going to crank the truck, come back around here and see if the microphone on these glasses will pick up this sound. I didn't notice this sound the other day, but it's the weirdest thing. I got the idle set on this truck on this motor at about 800 RPM. Runs great. Sits there and just idles just as smooth as you'd ask for. But if I let it, of course, when I cranked it cold, I had to, pull some manual choke, had to pull choke and let it sit there and run fast for a while. And I was watching the charging meter, and everything looked really good. And then the motor got warm, and I backed off the choke, and it dropped down to about 800 RPM. And I saw the charge amp meter up there in the dash jump up to 30 amps. I pressed down on the gas pedal, ran the RPM up about, I guess it was about 1100, and the thing dropped back down to normal. And it's done that same thing about 10 times. I let it get back down to about 800 RPM, and the current output on this alternator jumps through the roof. Raced the motor back up to about 1100, and it drops back down to normal. Turn the headlights on, and it can sit here and idle at 800 RPM, and the current output looks about right for what I've observed over the years. Anyhow, let's crank it and see if we can pick up that sound. And what I'm thinking tomorrow, it's cold out here, and my wife's already told me several times that she'd wished I'd come sit in the house and not be out here as cold as it is messing with this truck in the dark. I think I'm going to take her up on that. But I want to see if if the microphone will pick up this sound that I'm hearing. It should crank right up, because I've sat here and messed with it long enough that the motor's now warm. But there's the amp meter. When I crank it, I expect to see that jump over about 20 and then gradually go back. And nope, it's staying. See, when I raced the motor, it dropped back. See what it's doing? I race the motor, it drops back. Let it slow down. See it go up, and then race the motor and it drops back. So if I keep the RPM up at about 1100, it stays right, stable. If I drop the RPM, see it doing it? That ain't right. There it went, see? Race the motor and it drops back. That's just about as abnormal of a thing. That is not right. Totally abnormal. And interestingly enough, if I put it under load by turning on the lights, let the RPM down, it stays stable right there. And that's about right for high beam lights on where it would stay. If I turn off the lights, see it start to get erratic and jumping around. I can't stand something intermittent that's not working right. It drives me crazy. Now it's acting like it's okay. That's normal. I can tell by the sound of the motor. It's about 800 RPM, and that's staying pretty much about like it should. See, right now the voltage for the coil to the spark plugs is coming off the alternator, and now it won't stack right. Oh yeah, I could see it that time. It's dragging. Let's look at it one more time. The fan blades on the alternator, I could actually see them dragging. And I can hear it really good now. Okay, I just made up my mind. There's a problem in that alternator. There's a bearing in it that's causing it to do that. Right now it's stable. Lights come on. That's about right. Alright, tomorrow we'll pull it off of there. Because if this is going, if I can record it, let's see how it acts this time. Alright, it's stuck. That is not normal. See, when I race it, it dropped back. Okay, that decides it. If that picked up and you can hear it, anybody that's messed around with alternators enough to know what they sound like when they got a bearing going out in them, give me something in the comments, because I ain't taking off a load of beans on this truck with this problem in it. I'm still gonna cut the beans. If I lose half of them to pod shatter, I'm still gonna cut them. 2019 got to be a much better year. Everybody, thanks for watching. God is my pilot. God will get me through this. Thank you, Father. Merry Christmas, everybody. Because if it weren't for Jesus Christ, we wouldn't have access to God. Bye, y'all.